Hey guys, welcome back to Oak Abode. Oh, we're so happy you're here. We're so happy you're here. Okay, so ever since we had one of our photos shared by Ruggable, we've been getting a lot of questions about our Ruggable rugs and whether we think they're worth it, how they've held up over time, all that good stuff. They're gonna start fighting now. We have two Ruggable rugs. The first one is underneath me. I'll show footage of that in a sec. And the second one is way back there, a little bit dirty at the moment. Since I got a lot of DMs about our Ruggable rugs, how they've held up, how we like them, I figured I'd just make a video really quick with sort of the major points to hit. I'll tell you straight up that there are pros and there are cons to Ruggable rugs. This is not a sponsored video. A lot of the Ruggable content you'll see out there, especially from bloggers, is sponsored. So it's not a sponsored video. This is just us being totally honest about the Ruggable rugs. There are pros, there are cons. You're just gonna have to decide if the pros outweigh the cons for you and your family's lifestyle. Before I go too far into this, I'll mention that we do have a blog post written on our Ruggable rug review. So if you guys wanna just click the link in the description, it'll take you straight to the list of the pros and cons, and you can read it maybe a little bit faster that way, but we'll show some of the stuff in action on this video to make sure it's nice and clear. Okay, I've got my handy dandy notes here. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is just go through the pros of Ruggable, the good things that we love about Ruggable. Number one is obviously probably the most important. Ruggable rugs are machine washable. We can confirm this because within probably 2 days of putting down our brand new Ruggable rugs, Freya decided to puke on one. Normally that's kind of a stressful event. You have to run and get the carpet cleaner and soak it and clean it and your house smells and you're not really sure if the stain's gonna come out all the way. Well, we just threw it in the wash. We didn't use any stain remover and we were actually kind of excited about it because we wanted to see if the Ruggable rugs are gonna hold up, which they did. So we can affirm it is totally machine washable. The process, other than moving furniture, was pretty easy. And I'll go a little bit more into that in a little bit because there are some cons in the process. Okay, pros of Ruggable, number two, is that they have interchangeable designs. So one of the first things you'll notice when you go on the Ruggable website is probably the price, because Ruggable rugs are a little bit more expensive than maybe your traditional polyester rugs or what have you, whatever material you're going for. Obviously, if you're going for a high quality wool, that's gonna be more expensive than Ruggable, but for the general population of consumers, we just go to TJ Maxx or Target or Wayfair, whatever is gonna have a design that we think is decent and an affordable price, which is for an 8x10, usually around $200. Now for a Ruggable system, you're gonna be buying the design itself, which is gonna be about $200. Then you're also gonna be buying the mat for underneath the rug. This is what keeps the top one in place. So the top part is the one that you wash, the bottom part stays the same. But like I said, even though it's a little bit more expensive at the beginning, you might be paying around $400 for the whole set for an 8x10. If you get tired of one design, you can switch it out in the future. And that top portion is only about $200 right now for the 8x10. So, you know, it's about the same as switching up any regular rug that you would have in your house. However, it's gonna be machine washable, which means it's gonna be nice and clean, which is huge. Okay, another awesome thing about Ruggable is that it is easy to vacuum. I think this is one of the biggest questions when we think of a washable rug. We think of like a blanket, or we're not really sure what it's gonna feel like. But since basically the bottom layer is basically a giant piece of Velcro, it holds everything in place really nicely. We haven't personally had any trouble with vacuuming. It's not even like a pile. Like with normal rugs, you talk about a high pile or a low pile. It's like an ultra low pile, so it's not gonna get caught in your rug. We find it easy to vacuum. I will say that some negative reviews have said that the edges frayed over time with lots of vacuuming. We haven't really seen that on our rugs, and we do vacuum a pretty decent amount, but I'm wondering if that has to do with your vacuum specifically or what. But I'm giving the vacuumability an A. We're not worried about anything at all there. Another pro I will throw in here too is that our Ruggables do not slide on our hardwood at all. Our 8x10s are all underneath some furniture, so that might help, but even the traditional rugs that we had before this, our dogs love to like jump onto each rug and slide it, or try as hard as they can to at least, and we haven't had any sliding problems with our Ruggables. I think that bottom portion, since it's like a rubber basically, it grips the hardwood floor really well. We don't worry about sliding issues at all. And I don't think we're gonna have that problem even with smaller rugs that aren't underneath furniture, just because it is basically like a really quality underlayment in terms of grip on the hardwood floor, if that makes sense. So obviously there's a bunch to love about Ruggable. Those are the biggest things that stand out to me in terms of the great things about Ruggable. Now we're gonna go ahead and get into the things I don't like so much about our Ruggable rugs. And this is really just gonna be in how they differ from traditional rug designs. I'm not gonna really talk about the fact that a lot of people don't really like the Ruggable designs that much. Personally, I didn't have a huge problem finding some I loved, but I definitely went through a lot that I didn't like before I found the ones that I liked. All right, so getting straight into the Ruggable cons, I'm gonna start with the biggest ones. The biggest complaint I have about our Ruggable rugs, and I know a lot of other people do too, Ruggable rugs do curl on the edges and the corners, and I mean a lot. Like, I've never had rugs that curled this much. Now, and I will say I'm pretty positive it's because of the washable design. So the top layer is very thin, and it has to be thin, obviously. It has to be thinner than a traditional rug in order to be able to fold it up and throw it in your washing machine. However, from what I can tell, that's also the reason that it's been curling up on the edges, and I'll show you guys, it curls up not only at the corners, but along some of the long edges too. It's actually kind of a big problem and drives me crazy. I have tried everything. I've tried ironing it, I've tried folding it underneath and having heavy objects sit on it for a long time. Nothing takes out the curling except washing it again, and then even then, like, I don't feel like it dries totally straight. So as of right now, we're gonna keep these rugs, we're gonna deal with the curling, but I have to say this is a pretty big issue. I'm gonna probably look into things that we can add underneath the edges to hold them down, but it is a pain in the butt, and I do wish that Ruggable would address this issue. As sort of an added con, Ruggable's customer service doesn't seem to be awesome. I will say that we didn't have any issues ourselves, but if you go on their Facebook page and look at their Facebook reviews, there's a lot of people telling a lot of horror stories. It sounds like they guarantee their rugs for a certain amount of time. I think it's 30 days. There's like a return window where you can return the rug for a fee, and like after that, you're basically totally out of luck. What happened with us is our edges didn't start curling until well after that return window. It was probably about 2 months when they started curling. You know, again, we like having washable rugs enough that we didn't try to return them. We didn't want to return them, but it's kind of a bummer that their guarantee doesn't really encompass the major issues that are gonna come up with their product. You know, if you look on social media and if you look on their websites, it looks like everybody just loves their Ruggable rugs. Again, I think a lot of that is sponsored. We're not sponsored, and we do love our Ruggable rugs, but there are some huge issues that no one on the main platforms are talking about. So if you're thinking about buying a Ruggable rug, and if this is a pretty big investment for you, I would definitely start digging on those public review sites, and you can decide if it's worth it for you or not. Okay, number 2, I think the second biggest con to Ruggable rugs is that they feel very thin underfoot. They don't feel like a normal rug. Now for us, I think this really just took some getting used to. It's not like the curling where every time I see it, it drives me crazy. Whenever I step on rugs, I don't think twice. I mean, they feel fine on my feet. They're not as cushy as normal rugs, but if it really bothered me, I think I would just get like a cushier underlayment to put everything on top of. I don't think they recommend that, but if it was a huge issue, I would do that. It's not an issue. I like that they stay in place. Again, it's just they're not as big and plush as our older rugs were, but I think after like a week and a half of having them, I haven't thought about it since. But if you're somebody who really loves a thick, cushy rug underneath your feet, this might not be the rug for you. Again, you have to just keep considering the trade-offs. The trade-off is that you get a rug that's washable, it is clean, whenever you want it to be. You don't worry about poop or pee or vomit. You just throw it in the washing machine. But again, it just feels a little bit different than what you might be used to. Okay, number 4 is a pretty big con, and this is one that I didn't notice too much myself because we didn't have this issue, but a lot of reviews have had a big problem with, and that's that you have to pay to return your Ruggable rug. I guess maybe we're a little bit spoiled from other companies that offer, you know, free returns right and left within a certain window of time. Not the case with Ruggable. If you want to return your rug, you're gonna have to pay return shipping. And then from what I was reading on a lot of reviews, there is a restocking fee, and a lot of people were complaining that they were getting charged for a damaged product when it wasn't really damaged. For example, finding a little bit of pet hair on the rug on returning. You know, for a pet-friendly company, that is kind of an issue if there's pet hair. I mean, I don't know the situations, but if it's a small amount of pet hair like this person was claiming, and they put out the rug, rolled it up right away and sent it back, and then they got hundreds of dollars knocked off their refund for that, that's a pretty big issue. So, you know, I wouldn't be saying this stuff if Ruggable was kind of correcting these issues and communicating with their customers, but on a lot of these complaints, Ruggable's not responding, and you know, I feel for these people. So we don't have any complaints to give ourselves. We got the rugs, we were happy with them, put them down, that was that. Okay, what kind of stinks is that somehow I lost a bunch of the footage from the middle of this video, but fear not, because the next point comes right away. I just start talking about how it takes a long time for Ruggable to dry. If it's a little bit confusing, feel free to just click the link in the description to the blog post, because it's all there too. A lot of people like to hang them out to dry. We don't really have an outside drying setup right now. I've also heard the company claim that if you hang them to dry, that the edges are less likely to curl, which some reviews stated otherwise, but I have to just state it up front, we haven't tried that. But I will say, I wouldn't plan on washing your rug every week. It's just gonna be a lot of energy to go through, a lot of drying time, a lot of moving furniture, that kind of stuff. So just be aware that when you have a washable rug, you kind of just want to wash it when you really need to, because for us at least, it takes a while to dry. All right, the last thing that I will say is kind of nitpicky complaint yet again. So you guys, I'm not holding any stops, I'm just being totally honest. Biggest complaint in purchasing was that I don't feel like Ruggable was very upfront about the ship time. Normally when you buy an item, it'll tell you on checkout, like this is how long it'll take. I was just super excited about the rugs. I had looked over the design so much that I just was like making sure the designs were correct, because I knew I was gonna have to pay to return it. So I was trying to like look at all these different details at once, and I didn't really think about the fact that it didn't tell me how long it was gonna take to ship. It didn't give me shipping options. So after I placed the order, I got the confirmation email and it told me the rugs would arrive typically within 5 weeks. Typically. 5 weeks? Like that's it was kind of a red flag for me. So then immediately I started searching on their website for, wait, I don't remember being told it was gonna take this long. I had these big plans for a dinner party. I was all excited for these new rugs for the party. Well, after digging on their website for quite some time, I found in the FAQs that they kind of gave a vague description of how long it could take. And the reason is because each rug is supposedly made to order. So they don't make a rug and then stock it in a warehouse. From what I can tell, they make the rug once you order it, so it can take a bit longer. And that's great, like I get it, that's how they run their business. But I think it's pretty standard practice to be upfront about the ship time during checkout. So Ruggable, if you're watching this, I think you'd have a lot fewer angry emails if just during checkout, you just stated the ship time. You know, again, it's their business. I made the purchase without checking myself, but I did feel like it was kind of buried in the website. That being said, once I found out how long it was gonna take to ship, I emailed the company. I got a response within 3 days, so it took a couple days to hear back. They told me that I could pay extra to expedite the shipping, so it might be more like 2 to 3 weeks. I was like, forget it. You know, I just paid $800 for rugs. I'll just wait for them to come. And what ended up happening was I think I got the rugs in about 2 weeks. I'll double check that time for you guys. But long story short, I ended up actually getting them like the day before the party, so we were very excited to put them down. But I look back on that and I feel just a little bit misled about the ship time. So if you're ordering rugs for an event, I would just make sure that you leave plenty of time for the rugs to get there, because if I had known that it was gonna take that long, I probably would have just bit the bullet and purchased them weeks before I actually did. Okay, let's see, am I missing anything here? All right, like I said, guys, all these points are gonna be on our website, on our blog post, so just click the link in the description if you wanna go over them. But I will tell you guys, I guess the biggest question for us is Ruggable worth it with all these pros and cons? It might sound crazy because I've been kind of hypercritical of this product, but I'm gonna give it a resounding yes. Like, we would buy these over and over again. In fact, We plan on buying more. I don't think I'm ever going to have a non-washable rug again. Like, since having washable rugs, the idea of having an area rug that sits in your house and is walked on by people and dogs and gets dirty from other things too, the idea of having a rug like that for years in your house without it ever being washed is kind of gross to me now. And I'm not like a neat freak. I like to keep a decently clean space for my mental sanity, but I'm not crazy about germs, and it's crazy now for me to think that for all those years I was just keeping these like dirt, germ, grime, puke collectors on my floor and thinking it normal. So yeah, we're pretty much only gonna go, I think we're only gonna go the washable rug route from here on out. Maybe that's because we have dogs and our dogs love to roll in the nastiest stuff known to man. I won't go into details. But yeah, long story short, despite all the criticism, I still do recommend Ruggable. I recommend washable rugs. I think in the future, we're gonna try out some different washable rug companies. Ruggable is very open with their advertising, so I thought that this idea was only theirs. It wasn't until after we purchased the rugs that we realized there are actually a lot of washable rug companies with really pretty designs. So I think Ruggable is really straightforward. It's probably the most well-known, but we're probably gonna look into other options just to see if there's any difference in the product in the future. So I hope this was a little bit helpful for you guys. If you're thinking about buying a Ruggable rug or a washable rug. If you guys enjoyed this video, we would love for you to subscribe to our channel. Freya. If you guys enjoyed this video, we would love for you. I can't. So if you haven't yet, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. We do a lot of stuff with home living, homesteading, product reviews. We're finishing up our remodel right now. We would love to see you guys here in the future. Another thing you can do is follow us on Instagram. We're pretty interactive on Instagram. We'll answer your questions, your DMs there. So our Instagram handle is oak_abode. Our website is oakabode.com. And again, just subscribe to our channel if you guys want to see videos like this in the future. If you've got more questions, you can always leave a comment down below as well, and I'll do my best to respond right there. You're my old guy. You're my old guy. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I think our dogs give Ruggable a big thumbs up too. Right, Fly? You my teddy bear? Catch you next time, guys.